rising concerns about emerging pathogens and increasing rates of antibiotic resistance. Research has found that HPNCs can kill bacteria in aqueous environments by producing reactive oxygen species when exposed to light. Reactive oxygen species like singlet oxygen and hydroxide react with these proteins, lipids, and genetic material in bacterial cell, effectively destroying them. In their early attempts to produce a coated HPNC, the researchers used a single layer of silicon dioxide, a material that would protect the perovskite while allowing light transmission. However, a single layer had limited effectiveness with HPNCs, losing 63% of antimicrobial ability within 1 day. But a thicker layer could hinder or prevent HPNC's mechanism of action. Transfer of energy from perovskites can produce reactive oxygen species, said Zhu. The challenge is to get the right thickness to protect the perovskite while still allowing energy transfer. Zhu and colleagues developed a method called coating HPNCs in 2 layers of silicon, every single time I mess that up. After multiple attempts, the research team devised a strategy to constantly get optimal thickness for both layers. 2 coats are more effective than 1 thicker coat. It's not just an extension of thickness. We need a strategy because the coating has to be processed in specific ways. Next, the researchers tested antimicrobial properties and durability of their new double-coated HPNCs. They selected lead and bismuth because HPNCs made both metals are highly effective under visible light, produce singlet oxygen rather than hydroxide, which can be harmful to other organisms. Zhu and colleagues found that both HPNC varieties showed little to no antimicrobial properties without light. However, under relatively low levels of visible light, both HPNCs destroyed more than 90% of E. coli bacteria in the solution after 6 hours. Additionally, both HPNCs showed very little degradation over the 4-day period. The double-layer silicone, dioxide coating proved effective at protecting HPNCs from degradation from allowing energy transfer. However, the researchers also noted an additional benefit from the coating. Analysis found that after 4 days in water, the lead-based HPNCs had leached only a small amount of lead into the surroundings. The leaching amount of lead was well below WHO limits. The lead-based HPNCs had the best antimicrobial performance, but the bismuth-based materials also performed well. The benefit of bismuth is avoiding use of lead, which is always a concern if put into the body. You want to find the right place with the material that has good enough performance and is safe. The study findings showed that HPNCs coated with 2 layers of silicon dioxide have potential for a use of photocatalytic antimicrobial agents. Eliminating organic contaminants like bacteria and water makes these materials a good candidate for use in water treatment, which is really smart. Further research could also lead to HPNCs that can address the water contaminants and even be used in therapeutics in the future. Such materials will need to undergo further testing and under real-life conditions in the field and pass safety tests. However, the findings suggest that HPNCs could be useful for a variety of applications. And my first thought is like storm and disaster relief, because it seems like it could be passive, that it could just sit there and clean the water, and that you could have water going through a certain area that it cleans it and clean a large amount of it in a relatively short amount of time. On that note, that made me think of, it's actually a solution to the article we just read of the global drop in freshwater levels. That thing that we just read could solve that. But also, I wanted to point out that apparently China has 2 new technologies of desalination and water condensation from the air. So, and they're apparently both extremely effective. So this whole like global water shortage thing, it's really kind of obsolete. Like, we can immediately solve that issue if we really wanted to. So I just wanted to point that out, that as far as global freshwater, we can solve that easy. But the salt water is more challenging. So here we go with some more positivity. A scientist says humans will go backwards in time within just 5 years. And that's kind of a clickbait title. I'll just explain it rather than trick you like they did to me to get when I clicked on the article. Death and taxes, the twin inevitabilities of human life, at least for the moment. If you ask for the most prominent futurists in the world, death may not be on that, admittedly short and cliche, list for much longer. There's a controversial idea floating around the futurist community of longevity escape velocity. It sounds super sci-fi, but it's basically the idea that our life extension technology gets better. Our life expectancy could increase by more than we age over a set period of time. For example, as medical innovations continue to move forward, we would still age a year over the span of a year. But our lifetime expectancy would go up by, say, a year and 2 months, meaning we would functionally get 2 months of our life back. In March of this year, Ray Kurzweil, a former Google engineer and prominent AI-centric futurist, told multiple outlets that he believed humanity would achieve longevity escape velocity by 2029. Past 2029, you'll get back more than a year. Go backwards in time, Kurzweil said in an interview with the venture capital and private equity firm Busmer Venture Partners. Once you can get back at least a year, you've reached longevity escape velocity. I think that that's a very scary mixture. Venture capitalism, healthcare, and longevity. That sounds as dystopian as you can get, really. But, I mean, with the whole venture partners part, but if you take that part out, this whole thing is cool. That may seem like a remarkably near future, but Kurzweil seems convinced, largely because medical advancement seems to be speeding up. We got COVID vaccine out in 10 months, he said in an interview. It took 2 days to create it. Because we sequenced through several billion different mRNA sequences in 2 days, there are many other advances happening. We're starting to see stimulated biology being used, and that's one of the reasons we're going to make so much progress in the next 5 years. So here we have, this one's really huge. U.S. achieves billion-fold power-saving semiconductor. Could challenge China. Semiconductor material indium selenide can amorphize using electric current instead of energy-intensive melt-quench process, major advanced for data storage research. It's kind of a mouthful. A collaborative effort between researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the Indian Institute of Science has made a phase change memory, PCM, more energy efficient and could unlock a revolution in data storage in the future. PCM is a promising data storage technology that uses different material phases to store information. When materials change from their amorphous to crystalline state, they resemble an on-off switch, much like the binary system used for data storage today. PCM could be used to store information in devices such as cell phones and computers, but affecting the phase change is an energy-intensive process, which remained a hurdle to large-scale deployment. In recent work published by the Indo-US collaboration, researchers achieved the phase change using 1/billionth of the energy previously required to work material indium selenide, potentially starting a new revolution in data storage capabilities. 1/billionth the energy previously required. So, you guys remember how we were restarting the Pennsylvania nuclear facility, the 3 Mile Island that had melted down in order to power AI? If we had 1/billionth like a semiconductor that needed 1/billionth the energy, that power would not be needed. We wouldn't need to turn on basically like any power for a long time. We'd be set for many years. We wouldn't have to ever build any sort of power station ever again. If we were to have to use it, we would have an excess of power. Electrical transformation. In the amorphous phase, the material atoms are arranged in random order. The process of changing a material to its amorphous phase is called amorphization, and it is conventionally achieved by melting it to its liquid state and then rapidly cooling it so that crystals cannot form. The melt-quench approach to amorphization is energy intensive, but a decade ago, a research team led by Ritesh Agarwal at UPenn found the electric pulses could also achieve the same results in alloys of germanium, antimony, and tellurium. A few years ago, the research team expanded their work to include the semiconductor material indium selenide. Its ferroelectric property allows it to polarize spontaneously, while its piezoelectric nature generates electric current as a response to mechanical stress, which then deforms it rapidly. However, the researchers needed to be more certain about how this process occurs. Indian in situ microscopy. Agarwal then sent a sample of the IN23SE3 to Pavan Nukkala, his former colleague at UPenn, now assistant professor at the Indian Institute of Science. Nukkala's team built a suite of in situ microscopy tools, which then were used to analyze the amorphization process of IN2SE3 closely. They found that it resembles both an earthquake and an avalanche on a microscopic scale. When an electronic current passes through the material, tiny sections as small as a billionth of a meter are amortizing. That's fascinating. The material piezoelectric properties and layered structure nudge portions in IN2SE3 into unstable positions, much like shifting snow on a mountain top. At a critical point, the movement results in a spread of deformations in a distorted region, and the distorted regions collide. Sound waves are generated in the metal. The sound waves act like seismic waves moving the earth during an earthquake, resulting in more deformation and the creation of new amorphous areas, leading to an avalanche. That's fascinating. That's really crazy to imagine, thinking on a microscopic scale that that's happening from sound and electricity and pressure and all these different things coming together, and it like liquefying and becoming a semi-solid. But this also makes me think of some Ancient Aliens type of thing, of like allegedly them using sound to move materials in the past. Whether that was aliens or not, I don't know, but allegedly sound has been moved or used in moving, or in Graham Hancock's new season 2 of Ancient Apocalypse, pretty sure they talk about liquefying the rocks in a certain way. I can't think of the word for it. I'm pretty tired, but the rocks get semi-liquefied, and they were talking about using sound to do that. So it's pretty interesting here that we're talking about, again, sound waves moving like seismic waves across the earth on a microscopic scale. If we were to figure out how to move material like that, we could build supermassive things without having to have supermassive equipment. We could just play sounds and move stuff. It'd be pretty interesting. But it's just goosebump stuff to see all these phenomena interacting across different length scales at once. So that's what the doctorate student described it as, goosebump stuff. I think Albert Einstein might have described that as spooky stuff at a distance. Those are two different phenomenon, but it is kind of, whenever the scientists start talking about goosebumps and spooky action at a distance, we're talking about some weird stuff. But those are two different things. But it did make me think of that. So we're almost done here. We're going to... this is just one sentence. This is like the same type of semiconductor, but a different article talking about the materials of that selenium stuff that I was talking about. Material functions are fast, low power, stable, long lasting, and can be fabricated at temperatures compatible with commercial manufacturing. So that's very very good, very positive, industrial friendly, universal memory type of thing. Here we have another super huge one. Bite of hope. Malaria vaccine delivered by gene-edited mosquitoes kills infection by 98%. 89%, excuse me. Probably the first time I've ever agreed with the use of GMO mosquitoes. I've never really agreed with GMO mosquitoes, but if this is a thing, this is absolutely massive. Malaria is, I think, the top killer of humans in all of human history. Right now, tuberculosis is making a huge comeback, but malaria historically has been the killer, the biggest killer of all of humankind. So if we were to be able to solve this, it would literally be incredible. Malaria, a disease that has plagued humanity for centuries, continues to claim millions of lives each year. But scientists may have found a new way to combat this deadly disease. In clinical trials, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has demonstrated that mosquito bites can deliver the malaria vaccine safely. This novel vaccination strategy involves using genetically modified mosquitoes. The team investigated Plasmodium falciparum, a parasite responsible for the most severe form of malaria. They explored the possibility of genetically modifying P. falciparum to function as a vaccine rather than a disease-causing agent, which is absolutely fascinating. Thank God we're starting to do this. These mosquitoes carry a weakened form of malaria parasite designed to trigger a more powerful immune response in humans. So my only thought before I go on with this is this. We need some testing to make sure that this is not going to backfire in some way. Anytime you start talking about GMO parasites and infecting people with vaccines with a bite that can just like spread out on its own in nature, we really got to make sure that thing is right before we let it out in nature. So I hope they did that, but sounds like everything here is just top-notch, great work. Stops the multiplication of parasites in the body. The parasites sneak into the liver and invade red blood cells, causing havoc in the human body. The currently licensed vaccines offer limited protection. These subunit vaccines target specific proteins in the malaria parasite, inducing an immune response. However, the parasite's ability to mutate and evade the immune system often limits the long-term efficacy of these vaccines. I'll also say, ask anybody in the military who had to take the malaria medicine. Malaria meds will make you go crazy. That's what they're known for, is hallucinations, psychosis, and making you sick as a dog. If you're not going to get malaria, but you're going to get basically everything else. So if we can get this, I'm sure all the people that got sick off malaria medicine would just be over the moon over this. When administered as a vaccine, these weakened parasites stimulate a robust immune response against multiple stages of the parasite's life cycle. Currently licensed and approved malaria subunit vaccines provide modest, short-lived protection against malaria. Immunization with live attenuated Plasmodium falciparum malaria parasite is an alternative vaccination strategy that has potential to improve protection. Provides 89% protection against malaria. In the trial, the volunteers were bitten by mosquitoes carrying a special modified version of the malaria parasite. The idea is that by exposing people to a controlled dose of the parasite, their immune systems can learn to fight off future infections. As per Nature magazine, the engineered parasites were programmed to undergo developmental arrest shortly after entering the body. That's fascinating. The vaccine used a genetically modified malaria parasite designed to stop developing early in the human liver. It ceases development 6 days after infecting a person, right when it's about to multiply in the liver. Participants were divided into the 3 groups. One received the GA2 vaccine, another received an earlier version, GA1, and the control group received bites from uninfected mosquito. The primary goal was to assess the vaccine's ability to prevent malaria infection and safety profile. After 3 weeks, both groups were exposed to malaria-carrying parasites to assess their level of protection. Before being exposed to malaria-carrying mosquitoes, both groups showed increased antibody levels. However, GA1 group had a lower rate of 13%, compared to the group bitten by GA2 at 89%. The reported side effects were only minor itching from the mosquito bites. Protective efficacy against subsequent controlled human malaria infection was observed in 8 out of 9 participants in the GA2 group, 1 of 8 participants in the GA1 group, and 0 of 3 in the placebo group. This innovative approach could significantly reduce the global burden of malaria, particularly in regions where the disease is most prevalent. If we could not have millions of people per year die from malaria, that would be amazing. And 8 out of 9 is not bad at all. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode back. I will make some more in the future. I have so much planned. I'm going to start having more free time. I still have a whole lot of stuff to do until January. I really won't be getting free until January, but I'm still going to be dropping some episodes. And yeah, I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to mess up the timeline. I have some episodes that are halfway made, so I'm going to try to get those done and get those out and catch up. And adios. You guys be safe. We'll figure it all out. Don't give up hope. Organize together. We Fight Back 2025.org. Check it out. Sign up. Go find some people. Get inspired. Tell some people about the podcast. And thank you to all the people on Patreon. I've been posting some songs and stuff to Patreon, so if you want to check it out, I'll post some art and stuff too. Kind of just inspiring songs, like resistance songs, stuff to not give up hope, stay strong, and yeah, we'll be back next time.
You never had it rough. We're just having fun. Someone tell him not to run. Told you I come alive when I drive through the woods at night. It's a fine line. This is yours and this is mine. Wake your hunter's mind. Tear apart what you can find. Reading no umbrella. Not just Cinderella. Wanna go like hell, yeah. Show me how you get 'em. Now it's time to show up in your new form, in your new form, in your new form, in your new form, Lights all spin, it's kicking in. Shed your skin and take your leash off. You're a hunter, you know who you are. If you want to, I'll show you my scar. I can see what you've seen, if you know what I mean. There's a reason we made it so far.